Chapter 8. Ministerial Help.
In camp meetings or tent efforts in or near the large cities, there should be an abundance of ministerial help. In all our camp meetings, the ministerial force should be as strong as possible. It is not wise to allow a constant strain upon one or two men. Under such a strain, they become physically and mentally exhausted and are unable to do the work appointed them. In order that they may have the strength required for the meetings, ministers should arrange beforehand to leave their fields of labor in safe hands, with those who, though they may not be able to preach, can carry forward the work from house to house. In God, many can do valiantly, and for their labor will see returns, the richness of which will surprise them. In our large meetings, a variety of gifts is needed. Fresh capabilities should be brought into the work. Opportunity must be given for the Holy Spirit to work on the mind. Then the truth will be presented with freshness and power. In conducting the important interests of meetings near a large city, the cooperation of all the workers is essential. They should keep in the very atmosphere of the meetings, becoming acquainted with the people as they come in and go out, showing the utmost courtesy and kindness and tender regard for their souls. They should be ready to speak to them in season and out of season, watching to win souls. Oh, that Christ's workers would show one half as much vigilance as does Satan, who is always on the track of human beings, always wide awake, watching to lay some gin or snare for their destruction. Let every succeeding day be made the most important day of labor. That day, that evening, may be the only opportunity which some soul may have to hear the warning message. Keep this ever in mind. When ministers allow themselves to be called away from their work to visit the churches, not only do they exhaust their physical strength, but they rob themselves of the time needed for study and prayer and for silence before God in self-examination. Thus, they are unfitted to do the work when and where it should be done. There is nothing more needed in the work than the practical results of communion with God. We should show by our daily lives that we have peace and rest in God. His peace in the heart will shine forth in the countenance. It will give to the voice a persuasive power. Communion with God will impart a moral elevation to the character and to the entire course of action. Men will take knowledge of us, as of the first disciples, that we have been with Jesus. This will impart to the minister's labors a power even greater than that which comes from the influence of his preaching. Of this power he must not allow himself to be deprived. Communion with God through prayer and the study of His Word must not be neglected, for here is the source of His strength. No work for the church should take precedence of this. We have too slight a hold upon God and upon eternal realities. If men will walk with God, He will hide them in the cleft of the rock. Thus hidden, they can see God even as Moses saw Him. With the power and light that God imparts, they can comprehend more and accomplish more than they had before deemed possible. More ability, tact, and wisdom are needed in presenting the Word and feeding the flock of God than many suppose. A dry, lifeless presentation of the truth belittles the most sacred message that God has given to men. Those who teach the Word must themselves live in hourly contact, in conscious, living communion with God. The principles of truth and righteousness and mercy must be within them. They must draw from the fountain of all wisdom, moral, and intellectual power. Their hearts must be alive with the deep movings of the Spirit of God. The source of all power is limitless. And if in your great need you seek for the Holy Spirit to work upon your own soul, if you shut yourself in with God, be assured that you will not come before the people dry and spiritless. Praying much and beholding Jesus, you will cease to exalt self. If you patiently exercise faith, trusting God implicitly, you will recognize the voice of Jesus saying, "Come up higher."